What are the requirements for project funding? Well, first, let's break down what project funding is, what the requirements are, and how to use it. In this video, I'm going to go over all of that and show you how you can use project funding to grow and expand your business, and how, as your business grows, project funding will always continue to grow with you, and that's why it's such a great program to use. My name is Jonathan Fodera. I've been in business financing for the past 14 years, and I own Integrated Business Financing. And I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about project funding. So first, what is project funding? Project funding is basing the financing you get off an upcoming job or contract. So for example, if you have $1 million contract and you get a certain draw schedule, and it doesn't have to include a draw schedule, it could just be $1 million contract. If you have $1 million contract and you need to start the job and you don't have all the funds that you need to start the job, well, you would go and get project funding. So the way it would work is, let's just say the contract's worth $1 million and you need $200,000 to start because you need supplies, you need to add staff, you might need to get some equipment. Well, if you factored that whole job, and you probably couldn't based on the fact that the job isn't completed, but let's just say you needed to start and you need that $200,000. Well, you can borrow against the project or the contract, and you could pull that $200,000 out to get the job going. The convenient part about project funding is you would only be paying a fee on the money that you're drawing. So what that means is you probably could get $500,000 or $800,000 for that contract, right? If you did another type of financing. But with project funding, let's just say you only need the $200,000, you're only paying that fee on that $200,000. And it's typically about 4% per month. So if you pulled out that $200,000 to start the job, really it's only going to cost you around $8,000 to do that, right? And why is that important? Well, if you're a company and you're waiting to be paid on a bunch of other jobs and you need to start that job now, project funding is going to help you, and it's going to allow you to take on larger jobs without messing up or hurting your cash flow. That's why everyone loves it. And it's not going to be a weekly payment or a daily payment. Essentially, what's going to happen is when you get project funding, you don't pay until you get paid from your whoever that contract is with. So if it's a government contract or if it's another contractor. That's why project funding is so useful. In fact, one of our clients, we just got him, he had a $2 million contract. He needed $400,000 to start the job because he needed to get a new piece of equipment. He needed to bring on a whole nother crew, and he needed supplies to get the job going. So he borrowed $400,000 based on that contract, started the job, and when he took his first draw, that went into a separate account. They took out what they advanced him and the fee, and then the rest of the money was coming to him. And the good thing about this is he was able to start the job. It didn't cost him a whole lot of money. And he said to me, "I didn't even know this existed, Jonathan." I said, "Yeah, I know. Well, that's why you come to a marketplace, so we can help you with things like this." So he got everything he needed and he started the job, and now he knows in the future he can take on larger jobs without worrying about his cash flow, without worrying about a daily or weekly payment. This is the best way for somebody that's in construction or manufacturing. Anything that's B2B or business to government would qualify for this. So he was very happy. Next, let's talk about the requirements. What are the requirements for project funding? Well, first, you need to have a contract that's signed. Second, we usually want to see somebody in business for 2 years. I've been able to get some of these done if they are in business less than 2 years, but 2 years is typically a pretty good marker. Next, you're going to look at the contract, tax returns, year-to-date financials. They're going to look at an accounts receivable report, and they're going to look at who the contract is with. So if it's a business to business, like if you're a subcontractor and you're working for a general contractor, they're going to look at the general contractor to make sure he pays his bills, has good business credit. It's really not dependent on your credit, which is another advantage of project funding. I've seen people in the 500s get project funding because it's based on the contract and who the contract is with. They just want to see your financials to see how you're running and operating a business, and they want to see that you've been in business long enough where you're not a high risk, where they know they're going to complete the job. Because that's really the only risk in project funding is your company going to be able to complete that job successfully, right? So they look at all those factors to make a decision. Now, I'll give you a really, really good example of one. So I had a client, his name was Israel. He manufactures products. So he buys the supplies from overseas, and he's in cosmetics. He makes everything, but he makes them in huge orders and then sells them. So he gets contracts from his clients, and when he needs a big order filled, so at the time he started it, he was only a year and a half in business. Now he's been with us for 3 years, and what he does is he fills that contract. He gets all the supplies, makes everything, and he's using project funding to fuel that. And then as soon as he ships it, he gets paid in 30 days, and then it gets paid into that separate account, like I said, and it's allowed him to really grow and scale and take on larger orders. When he first came to us, he was only really doing $50,000 to $100,000 draws. Well, this past week, he just came in and got, I think it was like a $2 million contract, a $3 million contract, and he had a draw for $500,000. And because he had project funding, he could take on that size order, and it's allowed him to grow and scale. Meanwhile, if he did invoice factoring and he had a $3 million job, well, guess what? Invoice factoring, he'd be paying probably like 2% a month, but it would be on the whole contract, right? It would be on all his accounts receivable. So if you think about it, a $3 million job at 2% a month, he's basically going to be paying $60,000 versus what he paid with us, it was $20,000. So he was able to save $40,000 by using project funding instead of invoice factoring, and he was very happy. And it's also allowed him to grow and scale. When he needed this time, he came to me and he said, Jonathan, you know what? I can't believe how well this is working. It's allowed me to take my business from doing $400,000 a month to $5 million a month. And this is in a short period of time, right? So it's always about using the best program to meet the needs of your business, right? What's the best program I'm going to qualify for? What's the right way to use that program? And what is it the most effective and most cost effective, most importantly? And this is the most cost effective program in this scenario. Now, the next thing I want to go over is how long does project funding take? So people in manufacturing or in construction, they usually need to know how long something's going to take so they can plan out when to start the job or when to place that order for inventory and supplies. So with project funding, it's usually going to take anywhere from 3 to 7 business days. Now, what are some of the holdups? Well, some of the holdups are just having all your documents together, right? So we talked about this. It's a one-page application. It's the last 6 months of banks. It's your accounts receivable report, your last year or two of tax returns, your financials. And when I say financials, I'm talking about a profit and loss and a balance sheet. All right. If you have all of that and you have year-to-date financials, all you need now is the contract. Once you have the contract and I have that whole package or anyone has that whole package, the process is pretty easy, right? They review it, we schedule a call. So you're scheduling a call with an entire underwriting team, which they're going to walk through all of this and they're going to do a cash flow analysis. So they're going to break down step by step what this job entails and how much money you need to make sure you're not over borrowing. You never want to over borrow. So once that's done, they come back to you, they sign the agreement, they switch the accounts, and everything's done and squared away. So I'll give you a quick story and quick example. One of my friends, Joe, he owns a contracting company. He just got a huge contract. It's a $4 million contract, and it's to repave some roads for the government. So he needs to buy the raw materials to get started, and out of that $4 million, he really needs about $300,000 to start. So he sent everything in, and he's already set up his phone call. In this time, they've already pre-approved everything, and all he has to do right now is sign, and then it's Friday. He sent this in 2 days ago. He should have everything in his account starting Monday. Right? And that allowed him to ramp up, to scale up, and to take a job that he probably would have passed on. He probably wouldn't have bid on this job because of the size and the capital requirements. And now he knows he can handle this, and any other future bigger jobs, larger jobs that he wants to bid, he knows he can go out and bid because he has this type of financing secured. I've never had one client use this program and not repeatedly use it because it works so well in these situations. Joe basically said to me, hey, thank you so much. I'm really, really appreciative of this, and he's gonna start sending me a lot of his subcontractors, right? Because if you're a general contractor or you have subs and those subs get needy, those subs wind up always asking for money in their draw, well, this alleviates that, and it takes the pressure off, the main company or the general contractor. So that's basically all he needed, and that was the time frame we worked in. So I just want to recap everything, right? We went over what project funding is, what the qualifications are, how to use it, and how long it takes. So my challenge to you, what you can do today is, one, make sure you have all your documents together. Make sure you always have an updated profit and loss with a balance sheet. Two, if you're worried about bidding larger jobs, go out, see what's there, put everything together, and make the bid. Because if you win that bid and you come to us and you want project funding, we can get it done quickly, efficiently, and effectively. And then you can start growing and scaling because you're taking on larger jobs. So this is all part of what we do. Remember, always look to integrate your business. All right. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. All right. Thank you. Have a great day.